Okay, let's go back to the Pokemon HQ lab, and I just realized I was really dumb about something. I should evolve my EV right now. There is no reason not to. Also get this amazing music. And if we talk to this guy again, he's got some more memos for us. So we get Crane Memo 3, Crane Memo 4, Crane Memo 5. Some of these actually give some info that you probably wouldn't expect, so let's see these. These are less tutorials and more backstory. So yeah, this is what happens if you try and use a Pokeball on a non-Shadow Pokemon. In Colosseum, the partner would just say, no, don't do that, but here, the Aura Reader itself makes it physically impossible to do so. And we've already learned about what Purification is. But yeah, that definitely is limiting. People who played the original Colosseum will definitely know this. The Purify Chamber sounds like a very convenient feature. It places the Shadow Pokemon among regular Pokemon, so they purify naturally. Well, we should too. It's definitely a handy thing. But, relies on us getting the machine part, so let's go ahead and hand that over to them. Yeah, Lily's not in there yet. I think she's where she was last time, so let's go ahead and give her the machine part. Unfortunately, they're not kind enough to give us the Purify Chamber just yet. We need to wait a little bit longer. Guess I can check to see if the Battle CD has been returned, but it probably hasn't yet. So let's go ahead and hand over the machine part. Kind of. She almost got beaten up by a thug, but other than that... Yeah, I wonder if the main character is in trouble over letting his sister almost get beaten up by a thug. But anyway, let's give over the machine part. Don't do that, please. You're probably gonna drop it, and then that means huge amounts of research and money will be wasted, and everyone will be doomed. It's technically possible for it to have fallen to 0 by this point, but it hasn't just yet. The early Shadow Pokemon, like I've said, are very quick to purify, so you should have some at 0 heart gauge very soon. But yeah, you need to go through some kind of ceremony after you hit 0. The Pokemon won't purify just from having its heart gauge emptied. The Purify Chamber can do it, but without it, there's only one place you can do that. Agate Village. Yes, we're returning to an old place we went through in Colosseum. We're finally visiting a previous location. And we're getting a good idea of where the area that we're in is situated with the rest of Ores. So, that big desert, that's where we were in the last game. Hey, we know Egon. Just don't try to get in touch with him by email, he's terrible at that. So, we have a new destination. I guess we can check downstairs to see if Jovi hasn't screwed up anything with the machine part. But I just want to kind of check out that Battle CD. I forget exactly when in the game you can get it. I'm hoping it's not post-game, although it might be. Yeah, it's still not returned. So, I have two ideas as to when that's available. Either when Battle CDs first do something, or post-game. Just kind of want to check the Purify Chamber. Hey, Jovi is actually here. Well, it was a good thing you didn't drop it. So that's pretty obvious. But there's one more way to restore Shadow Pokemon to their natural state, so let's head out to Agate Village. Nah, I'll do it when I get there. Relic honoring Celebi is here. Let's head on out into the forest and get ready for some familiar music. And a familiar place. It's kind of funny though, they put it at a different camera angle so it looks at least sort of new. Also, who left this out in the middle of nowhere? Agate Village is pretty much the same as we left it. It's a retirement village for famous trainers and their Pokemon. There are also quite a few battles to be had in Agate Village. Before we do that though, yeah, I'm going to correct my mistake from earlier. Time to use this Firestone. There's really no reason not to. I say quiet because I still think this is the best arrangement of the evolution theme in the series. So now we have a Flareon. Or whichever EV evolution you chose, which is probably not Flareon. Whichever one you did choose though, they are incredibly strong for this point in the game. Even Flareon is decently fast for this point in the game too. Actually I should probably call Teddiursa. Anyway, let's go ahead and talk to this guy. Huh. Yeah, well, I mean, I guess 10-year-olds are doing that all the time. Yep, let's have a battle. I love the way that waterfall looks, but this is about the point where the regular battle theme tends to get pretty grating. Like, it's decent, but it's just on such a short loop. See, we've just sent out our Pokemon, and already the loop is almost finished. I'll just tackle the Wurmple and call Teddiursa out of reverse mode. I'm going to be making that mistake a lot, aren't I? So yeah, it's already looping, and we're just starting to use moves. Couldn't even KO a Wurmple, that's not a good sign. Somebody's getting poisoned, aren't they? You might notice that everyone's level suddenly took a huge nosedive ever since, that's not good, I don't have guts yet. Ever since Colosseum, but that's more just an aspect of, just the overall level standard of XD starting lower than Colosseum did. But you'll notice that Teddiursa is already well on the way to Purification. Also, we've regained Metal Claw. I like how they mark moves as new now, whenever you get them through the heart gauge. In general, Shadow Pokemon in XD usually have one TM move and one Egg move on their learn set. Metal Claw, despite being a TM, is actually an Egg move for Teddiursa, so that's Teddiursa's Egg move. Sometimes the TM move is only obtained after Purification, sometimes they have it when... Okay, wow, you must be a very reverse mode happy nature. It is interesting how it takes effect after you attack now, rather than before you attack. It means that getting a double, well, reverse mode, not hyper mode, I almost said hyper mode again, but getting a double reverse mode won't make you completely waste your turn, so that's a welcome change too. In general, the overall gameplay of XD is a lot more refined and, dare I say, better than Colosseum's. It fixed a few of the glaring issues in that game. I'm really, really glad that Shadow Pokemon no longer hurt themselves, well, they do with reverse mode, but not with their own moves. Well, there actually are some Shadow moves that do hurt the user, but they're fixed damage and they can never cause an actual KO. Unfortunately, it'll be a few more levels before we get a decent fire move. Also, train and defeat animations are a lot more over the top than they used to be, and riders in particular keel over as if they've been shot. Champion Hebon. Don't really see it. Also, now I need to show the Pokemon Center earlier than I expected, because I've got a Poison Pokemon. And in this gen, Poison can KO you while you're walking around, so you'll want to cure it as soon as you can. Let's go ahead and recover Poison. And after that, I think I'll swap out for Poochyena in the lead, because I want to get the heart gauges down. The main reason there are so many battles in Agate Village is they really expect you to have a lot of your Pokemon ready to be purified after you're done. Oh no. Oh no, people have actually listened to those. People have actually got those inventions. Well, he doesn't seem to be as much of a senile old man as he appears. That seemed kind of mean, actually. But, yeah, that was probably Shadow Lugia taking that ship away. Are you gonna battle me? Let's see. Yes, you are. Let's do this. What pathetically weak Pokemon will you have this time? Well, I mean, it's the first time we're battling you, but I'm just talking about trainers here in general. Azurill and Igglybuff, entirely babies. That is just great. So yeah, right from the beginning, XD is considerably easier than Colosseum. However, that will change. XD still has some very, very difficult boss fights. Doesn't really matter who I attack, they're probably both going to fade in one shot anyway. Especially if there's a critical. It's just so sad that Azurill isn't even another baby Pokemon, Togepi. Even though it's... See, Togepi is actually considered a baby Pokemon mechanically, in that it can't breed until it evolves, but a lot of people don't... that's annoying. A lot of people don't really think of it as one, because normally when you think baby Pokemon, you think a pre-evolution of an earlier Pokemon that was introduced in a later generation. But here Togepi was introduced in the same evolution as evolution was, but it is still effectively... Well, I mean, you've got Riolu too. Riolu was similar. Riolu was a baby Pokemon too, but it was introduced in the same generation as its evolution. I still remember back in the day, everyone expected Lucario would be a legendary. I don't think anyone expected Lucario to be a normal Pokemon, let alone to be one that had a pre-evolution at that. I mean, I know I was surprised to find that out back then. Stupid infatuation. Let's see if we can end this. I guess the one bad thing about... Oh yeah, you might notice that feigning animations are cut short here. It's pretty obvious for Togepi. But yeah, the one bad thing about going into reverse mode at the end of a move is that if it happens at the end of a battle, you'll have to wait until the next battle to be able to call them. Reverse mode is basically a life orb, but without any of the positives. I like the way that they handled the Shadow Pokemon lore like in this game, in that Shadow moves being super effective against non-Shadow Pokemon. It really makes you feel like Shadow Pokemon are the ultimate fighting machines they were designed to be. However, they still have some major design flaws, namely Hyper Mode actually got worse. Then again, Hyper Mode I think was always an unintended side effect and not actually an intended feature. Awkwardly tapping your foot on the ground. I like these defeat animations though, I kind of wish they'd come back in later games. There's an old lady up there, we can't get to her just yet. And there is a rich boy here. That actually has kind of disturbing implications, but, well, no, I mean that he sounds like he's quite depressed. Let's go ahead and grab this item. 1 ether. And we can go down here and speak to this woman with the Lotad, who becomes more important in a post-game quest, but... So you'll want to remember that she's here. Well, we got a lead now. We need to go to his house, which we probably would have already done before, but I want to explore this place a little bit first. That man up there you might remember from Colosseum, and let's see if he serves the same purpose. Back there, he'd give you berries every day. Well, I mean, every what passes for a day in this world, because there's no day-night cycle. And he still has the same effect. Not really sure if I'll need an Aspear Berry, though. That Q is freezing, but we already have Ice Heals for that. Now, this here is the daycare. I can quickly show a major difference with the daycare compared to... Or... Daycare lady retired. Okay. Well, it's not available just yet, but it will be eventually. Also, the name rater is right here. At the moment, though, I can't actually think of a good nickname for my Flareon, so I'll have to wait for a bit. But yeah, what I was going to show you, which I can't because the daycare isn't open, is that the daycare now does not allow Shadow Pokemon. Thankfully, though, there is a much, much better way to purify Shadow Pokemon while you're out doing other things. But it's also not available to us at this point. Also, you might remember from Colosseum, this passage behind here still exists. But it leads to something a little bit different. Potion. That's definitely not nearly as good as the experience share. And there's an old lady with a Puchiena. A lot better than the old lady with the Mightyena that we encountered in the last game. For now, I think I'll use Ladybird, because, yep, she's gonna battle us. Okay, we want that item, of course. So, let's battle an old lady, Matron Bellish. And she has kind of a nice touch. She's actually using, presumably, the Puchiena that's right there, and an Incada. I still wish Bug Ground was actually used on an evolved Pokemon. Wow, I haven't even used Ladybug much at all, and already it's almost pure. Well, it's more than halfway purified. Aerial Ace. Well, I suppose that's super effective against Nincada, but watch this. Oh, that actually did more than I expected. Yeah, this Ladybird, despite being not a very good Pokemon, it does have some alright moves to start with. This Puchiena showing the other one who's boss, and then it goes into reverse mode. Bad Puchiena. Puchiena. Well, actually, because I want to purify you a little bit more. And you're just going to pointlessly raise your own stats, which I don't really care about. I need to call you, and let's just finish off that. Yeah, let's finish the Nincada. That was a lot of heart gauge gain from that. Yeah, you probably want to purify these Pokemon as soon as possible, because being stuck at level 10, not a good thing at all. And you don't have any more Pokemon, so yeah, Puchiena is just stuck here, and it's going to be finished pretty soon. Yeah, let's Shadow Blitz it. Be funny if this doesn't KO, though. Wouldn't really put it past Ladybird, but hey, it actually did. Wait a minute, why did I use... No, actually, that's stupid. Yeah, Aerial Ace, 60 base power, same type of attack bonus. Yeah, obviously, does more than Shadow Rush. For some reason, I was... Shadow Blitz. Anyway, our prize, TM09. This is... Bullet Seed. Don't really have anything that can learn it. Also, Bullet Seed isn't as good this gen as it is in later generations. It's only 15 power per hit. And thankfully, she isn't doing anything disturbing to that Puchiena. Huh? Okay, that's something new to XD. You get a notification when a Pokemon can be purified. Kind of spoils that you'll be able to purify them at this point. But yeah, Teddiursa now has a full heart gauge. So that was pretty quick. Also, Teddiursa has an item thanks to the pickup abilities. Let's go ahead and take that. Antidote. You're only likely to get pretty bad items at this point in the game, but eventually you'll be getting much better items. Naive, Serious. Serious isn't terrible. And I don't really care about Ladybird's nature at all. Yep, let's battle this guy. It'll be a good way to help purify these Pokemon. There actually are quite a few force battles coming up on our way to the Relic Stone, though, so these aren't necessary, but I like to do every battle that I can. Because while it may not look like it, Shadow Pokemon are gaining experience while they're still Shadows. They just won't actually... Oh, hey, I got the move that that previous Puchiena was using. I want to get rid of that Machop now. But yeah, they are gaining experience, it's just not visible yet, and they won't actually be able to level up from it until they're purified. Then they'll gain all the experience at once. So even if Shadow Pokemon have their heart gauge full, it is still worthwhile to battle with them, because they're still gaining experience. They're also getting effort values too, but yeah, for those wondering how effort values work with Shadow Pokemon, they're gaining them, they regain them all at once they're purified, just like experience. Follows the normal rules of effort points, at least in this generation, in that you only gain effort points if you gain experience. For those who don't know what effort points are, every time you beat a Pokemon, each Pokemon gives a certain number of points towards certain stats, and they influence how high your stats go when you level up. In this generation, effort points are only applied after you level up, so if you battle a lot before leveling, you might see huge increases, like even up to plus 20 on a level up. In later generations, they're calculated after every battle, so the stats will just raise on their own and you won't get drastic level up spikes. it was always fun seeing those back in Gen 3. I mean, I think I had a Pokemon that gained plus 50 to a stat once on a level up. I think it was like a high-level legendary that I was EV training against Zubats for ages. No, I believe you, but I don't think it was a Wailord. Unless we're doing a Metronome battle. Like, can Wailord even learn Metronome? I mean, this is admittedly really sad, because this is actually a real-life thing that does happen, and it's definitely not as funny as a lot of people like to depict it. But anyway, let's not go into depressing stuff. Let's instead check out this house, because it's the only place in the village we haven't been to yet. Oh, this is a nice touch! You might remember if you played Colosseum, she had a Torchic before. It's now evolved into a Combusken. Yes, it was. 48 of them, to be exact. Or 51, if you had the Japanese version and had the e-reader cards. Now, this cave, at the moment... Okay, yeah, there is a lady in here. There's more for us to do here later, but for now, let's grab these items. In Colosseum, the only point of note here was the items, but in XD, there's an old lady who, for some reason, lives in this cave. She's the teacher lady. She is actually very, very helpful. She increases her repertoire of moves as you progress through the game. These moves can only be taught once per file. Definitely remember that, because some of these moves are very valuable to competitive battlers. In particular, Seismic Toss. Many Pokemon, even now, can only learn this move by being transferred up from Gen 3, having been tutored Seismic Toss. Like, for example, Chansey. So, you might want to save this one. Thunder Wave, though, is a very decent move tutor move, because a lot of Pokemon can learn it, and it helps in catching Shadow Pokemon. I'll see if anyone on my team can learn this now. Nobody can. If you did evolve your Eevee into Jolteon, don't teach this, because Jolteon will learn it naturally later on anyway. You'll definitely want to save that. Like I said though, she increases her repertoire of moves as you progress through the game, and later on she'll have some very, very interesting ones, and some really strong ones like Double Edge. Most of the moves she teaches were TMs in Generations 1 and 2, by the way. Also, we can buy a lot more items from this mart, including scents, which we can use to purify Pokemon more easily. We don't even need a scent case to use these, I believe. Let me just... No, we do! We do need a cologne case. But I think... Well, Cypher's appeared again. Yeah, it is important. That cologne case is helpful for speedruns because you need to purify a certain Pokemon quickly. No Pokeballs here yet, but they do sell Super Potions, which are actually alright at this point in the game. Have one already. I might buy an extra 2. Don't want to spend too much. Because I am saving it for Pokeballs, like I said. So, the only thing left to do is to head into Egon's house. The new angle does make things, I guess, feel kind of new. This is Bellu, and she is remarkably calm for having not heard from her daughter for 5 years. Granddaughter. Yes, we are. Speaking of which, though, he's back. So that NPC was right, we needed to speak to Bellu first. So he's going to go ahead and wait for us at the Relic Stone. We should go there since we already have a Pokemon that's ready to be purified. So yeah, backstory on Egon that we already knew from Colosseum, but if you haven't played that game, guess you'll find it out here. This is an interesting thing to examine. My journeys with Pikachu. For some reason, the final volume of this series has been bought up by shippers on eBay for ridiculous amounts of money, driving its prices up immensely. Wonder if people will get what I'm referencing there. It's still kind of amazing that actually happened, but Huh, see that guy down there? We can actually reach him. The relic forest is through there, but if we go around here instead, we can reach that bodybuilder. Let's pass through these roots, past that waterfall, and there he is, staring off into the middle of nowhere. Are you trying to get out of the village? Let's have a battle. Bodybuilder Dosk. And the bodybuilder models are still very, very awkward in this gen. Tyrogue, though, that's a pretty interesting Pokemon to be seeing. Actually, kind of funny there wasn't a Shadow Tyrogue back in Pokemon Colosseum. Meaning the only way to get one prior to Fire Red and Leaf Green was to get a female Hitmontop from Scrub, and Supersonic, not the best move. Anyway, was to get a Hitmontop from Scrub that was female and breeded. Tyrogue always struck me as one of those Pokemon that, I mean, it's kind of cool, but its evolution method is pretty awkward. You have to control its stats exactly. And, like, I've never actually tried EV training up a Hitmonlee, Hitmonchan, or Hitmontop recently, but I wonder if you're EV training them, it must be kind of hard to do that while making sure that it evolves to the right form, because, especially for Hitmontop, where its attack and defense have to be exactly equal. For Hitmonchan, it has to have defense higher than attack, and for Hitmonlee, the reverse. Though really, let's go for Shadow Blitz, that's going to be hitting harder. Hitmonlee and Hitmontop are the main ones that you'd really be interested in. Oh, it looks like Poochyena might be ready to be purified soon. In fact, we have almost completely filled the heart gauges of these Pokemon. Don't hit. Oh, you hit. Of course you don't go for Poochyena. Given your luck with Attract so far. Also, yeah, the Confusion animation is new. I only have physical moves, that's not good. Let's hope you're luckier with Confusion than you are with Attraction. Knowing Ladybug, this might not KO, but we'll see. Oh, hey, it actually did. Please don't hurt us. Oh, thank you. Good. Maybe you are luckier with Confusion than you are with Attraction, but we'll see. Actually, much luckier. That critical hit was much appreciated because it ignored that Grimer's defense raise. It's not really much point if you go into reverse mode either because your heart gauge is full. Well, yeah, but having a bad sense of Pokemon battling is something to make fun of. And yeah, Poochyena is ready to be purified, even though he's in reverse mode. So let's head back. Kind of weird that they wouldn't let him into the Relic Stone. So at the moment I'm gonna go ahead and switch out for Flareon. Because this is a bit of a priority for Flareon to be adding some experience, because at level 16 it'll learn its first stab move. Unfortunately, it is a special type in this gen, so it doesn't use its better attacking stat. Yeah, let's go. So, these battles are mandatory. So if you're doing a speed run, like one that I watched kind of recently, you do have to do these battles, and they're the only chance you have to purify your Shadow Pokemon. But if you want more heart gauge, you can fight all the trainers around Agate Village. Like I said earlier, I think the reason why this is the case is because they really wanted you to have all of your starting 3 Shadow Pokemon purified by the time you get to the Relic Stone. Which really isn't that hard. You know what? Maybe I'll hit harder with Bite. Let's just see. I don't want Ladybug up against that Numble. I'm actually going to switch you out for the slightly bulkier Teddiursa. Would a Numble at this level even have Ember? I don't know. I better be safe than sorry. At least this is an Oras where Numble gets Flame Burst really, really early, and it's very strong for the point in the game where you start seeing Numbles with Flame Burst. Well, that flinch is nice, and maybe you don't have Ember. Don't want to speak too soon, though. Let's bite the Numble, and let's finish off that Zigzagoon, even though it's probably going to outspeed Teddiursa. See, look at this. Even Flareon with its 65 base speed is still pretty fast by the standards at this point in the game. So, whichever EV evolution you have, they're all incredibly strong this early. The question just is, will they remain strong throughout the game? And honestly, I don't think Flareon is that bad in-game. The other evolutions are definitely better, but Flareon isn't awful. Especially with some of the move shooter moves that you have access to in this game. Right, let's just bite you and let's just call Tediosa just to be nice. Love how it does that little animation. It's like the lick animation, but without the tongue. And there goes Nummel. So that's the first trainer down. And yes, my other Pokemon are getting experience, you just can't see it here. You know, maybe I should, even though there is a Pokemon Center right there, I don't want to have to walk all the way. I know I'm being really lazy. But yeah, here they kind of explain to you how Purification works. This is also another way in which XD is a bit more, I guess, complete and also more accessible than Colosseum, because Colosseum explained it to you in very vague terms. It never really specified exactly what raises the heart gauge, but here they kind of tell you. Sending them out into battle, having them in your party and walking around with them. Pretty much similar ways to raising happiness, also using sense, and being called out of reverse mode. In Colosseum, you could also leave them in the daycare, but like I said earlier, in XD this is no longer effective as... Actually, I just realized I should be using Bite all the time, because its power increase compared to Tackle is more than worth the slightly higher attack Flareon has compared to special attack. But yeah, the daycare no longer works on Shadow Pokemon, I'll just say. But we will be getting something much better soon. And you have more than 2 Pokemon, it seems. A Lotad. Or Lotad. And Bubble. It looks pretty similar to how it did in Colosseum. Yeah, that was a critical hit. A 20 base power move, it only got buffed to 40 later, that hits both targets in a double battle. That's, yeah, pretty unimpressive. You'll notice the levels here are getting a little bit higher, though. Emphasis on a little bit, but still. It does mean that our level 10 Shadow Pokemon are starting to look a bit less impressive. So we want to purify them and make sure that they're... Has Lever ever gone to reverse mode rule? Anyway, I want to purify them and make sure they're actually leveling up soon. Well, now that I've said it, it has to happen, of course. Now I'll obviously be wanting to use Bite more. Yeah, if you have Jolteon, Espeon, or even Vaporeon, Bite is insanely good to keep early on, because those Pokemon don't have access to special moves of very many types at all. And especially on Espeon, that hits Ghost that it would otherwise be weak to. So definitely keep Bite for a bit. It's a decent move this early in the game. In fact, for Umbreon, it's the best stab move you'll have, actually, period, because the only other one that it gets later on is Feint Attack, which has equal power. And if you would kindly stop growling and just accept your fate. I should just be using Aerial Ace, it's fine, it doesn't really matter. We are getting a pretty nice amount of experience in these fights, though. Our Shadow Pokemon will certainly appreciate that. They're also giving not bad money for this point in the game, either. Yeah, so that's reverse mode, and I've already explained how that works. We have an old lady now. I like how all the trainers here are banding together to actually help you purify your Shadow Pokemon. Matron Lady. That must have been an awkward name to have growing up, but then again, pretty much everyone in Aura is like that. Cacnea and Slugma. A fire-grass combo. So, it covers a lot of bases, although at this point your Evolution is unlikely to have a stab move. Actually, Flareon is the best option for this encounter. Except, No, I'm going to switch out just in case that Slugma tries anything funny. Which it probably will. Or it might not, considering how early this is in the game. But we'll see. It'd be funny if it actually went for Ember on Flareon, because, yeah, Flash Fire makes me immune to that, and it will boost, well, it'll do nothing because I don't have any fire moves, but it boosts your fire. Ah, it did it! I can't believe it actually did it! That was a weird reaction, but yeah, I was not expecting them to actually be that stupid. Really, I was... I mean, I knew the AI was dumb sometimes, but I didn't expect they were that dumb. But yes, it won't do anything at this point in the game because I have no fire moves. Yeah, Katnia was not able to make a full twirl there. Fanning animations have been shortened, I've said that before. But I'm glad I switched Ladybird out. Please don't burn. Thank you. No, I should go for the more accurate move. Can I finish with Lick? It'd be pretty funny if I did. But Slugma is down. That battle was surprisingly even easier than the last one. Thanks to your AI being kind of stupid. Now let's check out that item over there. Yeah, they'll gradually gain heart gauge while they're with you, although later in the game, this is a very inefficient method of purifying Pokemon. Yes, those burn heals are there in case you get your Pokemon burned by that trainer there. Yeah, because when heart gauges get higher... Okay, let's have a hot battle. Legendary Trainer Kron. 1 M and 1 H off of a character who will forever be snubbed from getting into Smash Brothers. Horsey and Abra. Well, Abra is somewhat impressive if it has any attacking moves. Abra is actually very, very powerful in Little Cup, but again, that is assuming that it has attacking moves, and a lot of in-game Abras don't. I do have Bite, though, and I suppose I'll leave Ladybird on the field. Yeah, Shadow Blitz will do more if Aerial Ace isn't super effective on anything. Okay, I was surprised that carried because Abra has pretty decent special defense. And Bite, yes, is a special move this gen. Oh, how I wish I had Ember at this point, but I don't. Let's see how little damage this does. Yeah, that was super effective. And Ladybird went into reverse mode. Yeah, I'm so sorry for any Ladybird fans, but I just, I really wish Ladybird did get an evolution or an Alolan form or a Mega. For some reason, I can imagine having an electric type Alolan form, but anyway. Let's just get you out of here. I suppose I can use Poochyena, because I haven't used Poochyena in these fights yet. Although, he'll be in reverse mode, so he'll take damage the moment that he switches in. Well, at the end of the turn, the moment that he switches in. Let's bite you. And was actually able to get the KO, nice. Level 13, 3 more levels until Amber. Actually, my attack is considerably higher than my special attack. You know, maybe I should have kept Ladybird in. Ladybird is actually 4 times resistant to that Shroomish and has super effective moves on it. But I guess I can give Poochyena a little bit of attention here. Though, also reverse mode. Actually, let's go for Poison. I just realized something. I use a non-shadow move while I'm in reverse mode. Let's see how that works out for me. I guess I can claim that I was trying to demonstrate what happens when you do that. Oh, it actually worked. Okay. I don't know if they changed that from Colosseum, but in Colosseum, if you try to use a non-shadow move while you're in hyper mode, usually bad things happened. Usually some, way of, some form of wasting your turn. Kind of funny I said that was a hot battle and you didn't even use any fire types. Okay, you get the Cologne case here, so we could go back and buy some Scents in order to purify our Pokemon more quickly. But we don't need that. Ladybird's ready to be purified. In fact, that was right on cue, actually. Just in front of the Relic Stone, I have all 3 of my Shadow Pokemon ready to be purified. Firstly, though, let me grab that item from Teddiursa. Super Potion, that's actually not bad at this point in the game. You know what? I'll take Teddiursa into this one. Because, as I'm kind of hinting at, we have one more fight before we can get to the Relic Stone. And this fight is with Egon himself. They are, so yeah, they really want to make sure that you have your Pokemon ready to be purified now. And this is really weird. Or not, actually. Considering that Egon is based on Ash, it makes perfect sense for his Pikachu to have gone down a major number of levels in 5 years. Yeah. Logic, this logic doesn't really make a lot of sense, unless this Pikachu is intentionally holding back against you. Because it was much higher level back in Colosseum, and the way that he talks about it, this is not a separate Pikachu, this is the exact same Pikachu that he used back then. But a Pikachu is still a Pikachu, namely, its defenses are incredibly terrible. Thunderbolt is a very good move at this point in the game, though. Nice job surviving that, though. I actually shouldn't underestimate this fight. That Pikachu is kind of tough and it just static me. However, it's also very frail. So, it can hit hard, but it can't really take it. We both got staticked. Be careful in this fight if you have Vaporeon, though, because Thunderbolt will hurt quite a bit. He's all like, duh? Why my Pikachu lose all those levels? Me don't even have excuse of Zekrom depowering it here. No, it doesn't. In fact, all three of them are ready. So, let's go ahead and check this out. Also, something new to XD. The Relic Stone actually makes a sound now when there's a Pokemon ready to be purified. I don't know, it's kind of pointless, but I like that touch. So let's purify the first one we caught first. Teddiursa has opened the door to its heart. And regain the move Return. It's a bit weak at this point in the game, but it'll get better later on. And we also regain the move Refresh, a move that Teddiursa wouldn't normally learn. Also, we gain all the experience that we got while we were a Shadow Pokemon, which is enough to level up once. Only once, though. Does keep you closer to Flareon, though. For now, I might try and think up a nickname later. I want to do that for my other Pokemon, though. No, I think I remember this. Yeah, this is really, really annoying. I hate this so much. I have 2 more Pokemon that I need to purify, but you forced me out of there. So yeah, that new purification system is going to be useful, but it would be kind of good if we had him around. Vander? We've heard about him before. No, not Wide, Zex Vander, or Mueller Vander, or that other Vander from Cold Steel 3. No, it's Mount Battle's Vander. He's seen sinister characters out in the deserts. So our next destination is Mount Battle in the northeast. I know that I've been there for quite a lot, but there are some new things to do in Mount Battle. Hi there, Pikachu. Sorry you lost all those levels, and sorry that I beat you so badly. Yeah, considering that in the desert, I remember what was going on last time. And we get our P-Star DA number from Egon. Unfortunately, it might be, difficult for him to get in touch with us, considering how bad he wasn't emailing last time. But, let's just go ahead and purify the other 2 Pokemon. I really wish that you stayed there. Now, I forget exactly what happens if your Pokemon is not ready to be purified. Like, you don't have any Shadow Pokemon that are ready by the time you beat Egon. I think do you still teleport back to the house, or does he just let you continue on for a bit until you've purified it? Because I know that in speedruns, Teddiursa is not normally purified until now. Like, until after you can buy some colognes. So now, let's purify this Ladybar. And what move do we regain from you? Psybeam. That's actually an egg move for Ladybird, so it's kind of decent to have. And Refresh, again. definitely not the best of the XD exclusive moves. Enough for 2 levels. Not that that'll really help Ladybird at all. And now, let's purify Poochyena. One who I might actually keep in my party for a little bit. It's a pretty good early game Pokemon. Now, while it may be a good idea to hold off on Purification a little bit until you get, well, no, because Shadow moves are super effective against all non-Shadow Pokemon, you will really start to feel the inability to gain levels, especially coming up soon, so I would recommend purifying all of your early Shadow Pokemon as soon as possible, especially since they regain some quite useful moves. Heal Bell, in particular, will save you thousands on recovery items early on in the game. Enough for 1 level. Please be enough for another level. No! It was probably pretty close, though. So, with 3 Pokemon purified, I think that's a good place to end this episode. Next time we'll be heading out to Mount Battle to see a few things that have changed there. And some things that, well, haven't changed. So, I will see you then. Wait a minute. It took a while staring at this screen for me to notice, but Purification fully heals you. I actually didn't know that. So, yeah, that's something new I'm learning about this game. That's pretty cool.